started. We're finishing 1.4. We will finish 1.4 today, and you will actually have some time in class to finish up the assignment. So, two prom venues charge a rental fee plus a fee per student. The table shows the total cost for different number of students at Lakeside Inn. The total cost Y in dollars for X students at Sunview Resort is represented by this equation. So it's going to, for Sunview, it's going to cost $10 per student and a $600 rental fee. So 10x plus 600. Which venue charges less per student, and how many students must attend for the total cost to be the same? So, here, the first thing we need is actually to get, one, the slope for Lakeside Inn, so we know the cost per student. And then we need to get the equation to help us find out when the total costs are going to be the same. Slope. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Now we need a Y value. Pick one of the Y values. 1,500 minus so it'd be 15 over, yeah. So we do have the Y2 and the Y1, so 1,500 over 100, those correspond to each other. Yes. Because then we can pick another Y value. Now, it doesn't really matter which one as long as it's one that's listed. So we could pick 1,800, and its corresponding X value is 125. Now we just need to simplify. Because 1,500 minus 1,800 is going to be negative 300. 100 minus 125 is going to be negative 25. Now, negative 300 divided by negative 25, well, the negative and negative would make a positive. So we're really looking at 300 divided by 25, yes? Which is 12. Because 25 is similar to a quarter, yes? So it's really, we're saying how many quarters are in $3? 12. So that's telling us that Lakeside is charging how much per student? So the slope is 12. They're charging $12 per student. Well, at this point, we can answer the first part of the question. Which one's charging more per student? Sunview or Lakeside? Lakeside is charging less per student. I know I just said more because Lakeside is charging more per student, but I think it's asked for what? Which one charges less? Yes? Yeah. Which one charges less? Sunview. Lakeside charged more per student, so Sunview is the one that is cheaper per student. So the correct answer is Sunview. All you gotta do is scroll back up. Which venue charges less per student? Sunview. Now, for us to be able to answer the second part, how many students must attend for the total cost to be the same, it would be helpful to have the equation of the line for Lakeside View so that we can have an understanding of how much it's going to cost us per student over any number of students, not over, but for any given amount of students, where we can plug that in for X and find our value. Now, we have the slope, which is 12. Now, a good question is, why are we just going straight to point slope instead of slope intercept? Now, we would use slope intercept if we know the y-intercept. Do we know what the y-intercept is? No. Since we don't know what the y-intercept is, we can't just jump straight to slope intercept form. We have to use point slope form. Pick one of these points. Which one do we want to use? 100. So 100 would be our x, and the corresponding y would be 1500. Now, it doesn't matter which point we pick, which x-y pair we pick, because all 5 of these points are going to lie on the same line, yes? So any point that we pick will give us the same equation. Now, at this point here, we need to get y by itself. Now, y minus 1500, there is no double negatives. There's nothing we need to do on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we're going to have to distribute that 12. 12 times x is 12x. 12 times 100, 1200, 1200. So, almost done getting y by itself. What do we need to do next? Add 1500 to both sides. Now, negative 1500 plus 1500 is 0, leaving us with y by itself. Still have the 12x. Negative 1200 plus 1500 is 300, positive 300. So that gives us our other equation. So this here is for Lakeside. Now, I'm going to write the other equation underneath it. You do not have to write it underneath it. I'm putting it next to each other so we can see the two equations. And it's asking us, because Sunview and Lakeside, we're wanting to see, and the second part of this problem is asking us when the total cost is going to be the same, yes? X or Y, which value is representing the total cost? The Y value, yes? So if I'm wanting to know when the total costs are the same, I'm wanting to know when the Y values are the same, yes? And if the Y values, we're setting those equal, we want to know when they're equal, it's really telling me that these two statements have to be the same as well. And in geometry, what we would say that we're doing or we're applying here is the transitive property of equality. If you all remember that, if A equals B and B equals C, therefore A equals C, we're setting these two equal to each other. We're saying that 12x plus 300 is equal to 10x plus 600. Because when these two are the same or set equal to each other, whatever that value of x that makes these be the same will be the number of students at which both will cost the same amount. Now, what do we need to do first to solve for x? Yes. We can subtract 300. Now, that's not the only first step we could have done. We could have also subtracted 600 from both sides. That would have worked, yes? We could have also subtracted 10x from both sides or subtracted 12x from both sides. We have to pick one of them that we want to do first. So here we're going to subtract 300 from both sides. Because on the left-hand side, our 300 minus 300 would be 0, leaving us with 12x. On the right-hand side, we still have the 10x, but 600 minus 300 is going to be positive 300. What do we need to do next? Yes. And we can do that by? Not quite yet. I mean, we can. I would not advise it. But just like we moved the 300, we can do the same thing with x. So we can subtract 10x from both sides. Because 10x minus 10x is 0, giving us 300 on the right-hand side. 12x minus 10x is 2x. And last but not least, now we can divide both sides by 2. 2x divided by 2 is x. I'll move that up just a little bit. 300 divided by 2 is 150. There, yes. So the number of students for the cost to be the same is 150 students. So take 150 students for the total cost to be the same. Make sense? Because we found the value of x that would make them be the same. Now we can look at it because we can say 12 times 150 plus 300. This is the equation for Lakeside. And if we plug that in, we get 2,100. It would cost $2,100 for 150 students to go to Lakeside. Now Sunview, so it'd be 10 times 150 plus 600. What do we expect the calculator to tell us here? 2,100, and it is indeed 2,100. So they are the same, yes? So which one started off more expensive? Sunview, yes, because the total cost, starting cost is $600, the plus 600. Lakeside, our plus is 300. So at 0 students, so if we said 10 times 0 plus 600, Sunview would be $600. 12 times 0 plus 300 would be $300. So with no just general starting costs, Sunview is more expensive than Lakeside. At 150, they're the same. But after 150, Lakeside is going to be more expensive. So let's just say 200. 12 times 200 plus 300. Lakeside's now 2,700 for 200 students. Sunview is now 2,600. So it's $100 cheaper. So if we're talking about 200 students, it's going to make a little bit of a difference. Yes? I mean, depending on the size of the school, really these are, I would say, call court size numbers for prom. If we're talking Siloam, which they probably have 700 students going, that difference is $1,100. That is a significant amount of money. That makes a difference between the two. For us, I mean, at 200 students, that's still $100 difference is a decent amount. You can put that $100 into different supplies or different things. But let's say that 160 students were going. So Lakeside, we know, is going to be more expensive at 160 students. We already said that, yes? It's $20 more, yes? Is that $20 enough to say that the one is more worth it than the other? Honestly, I would say no. Because we would look at other things besides that, especially 10, 20 bucks if one of them, even up to 40, 50 bucks. If the one that's $50 more has better amenities, other stuff with it, yeah, we'll go with it. If it doesn't, we'll go with the other. Because when we're that close to where they cost the same, you're not really looking at total cost. You're looking more at which one's going to be a better venue. But questions on what we did here? Now, at this point here, you don't have to rewrite this. Do not rewrite this. Because at this point here, we said we could divide to solve from here, yes? What would you were going to want to divide by? 12 or 10? 12. And it is possible to do this, but we have to divide everything by 12. Now, the 12x divided by 12 would give us x. 10 twelfths, it does reduce. It would reduce to 5/6x plus, because this does divide evenly, or should, 25. But the values, our x's, are still not on the same side. So now we'd have to subtract 5/6x from both sides. These would cancel. 1 or x minus 5/6x would be 1/6x is equal to 25. We divide by 1/6. And we find out that x should end up being, essentially, it should go back to being, what do we say, 100? No. $150, yep. We got to the same amount, yes? This is a little bit messier. That's why we wait to divide till the very end, because it made it a little bit harder. Let's get the two terms apart from each other, then divide. It'll work. It is definitely a lot messier. So, part of the reason I want to show you that is it's not wrong. Doing that's not wrong. We just don't normally do it that way because we all of a sudden threw in fractions that didn't necessarily have to be there. Last one we're going to look at. What if Maple Ridge, so we're adding a third venue in, charges a rental fee plus $10 per student? The total cost is $1,900 for 140 students. Describe the number of students that must attend for the total cost at Maple Ridge to be less than the total cost at the other two venues. So, really it's going to be helpful to have the equation of a line so that we can compare the two, or really three, together. We can compare and see which one's more expensive or not. Now they gave us the slope. The slope was 10. They also gave us a point. They said for 140 students, it cost $1,900. Now, just like before, we're going to work this out. We're going to distribute the 10. 10 times x is 10x. 10 times negative 140 is negative 1,400. What can we do next? We can. Yes. Add 1,900 to 1,400. We add 1,900 to both sides. Because on the left-hand side, the 1,900 minus 1,900 is 0. Negative 1,900 plus 1,900 is indeed 0. On the right-hand side, we still have the 10x. Negative 1,400 plus 1,900 is going to be plus 500. Questions on how we found the equation for Maple? Are we good on how we found the equation for Maple? Yes. Now, I didn't do this with the other two classes, but we're going to go on and do it with two. Clear all that out. Turn that off. So our first one was 10x plus 600. Our second one we found was 12x plus 300. Window. We're going to go from 0 to 200, and we're going to scale it by 20. 0, because we'll say 3,000. So I'm scaling this so that we get a decent picture of these graphs. So we can see this here. Those two intersect at a certain point, and we know that value is going to be 150 students, $2,100. Yes? Now the new equation we got was 10x plus 500. Yes? So I'm going to tell it not to graph our lakeside yet. I just want to graph these two here. Sunview and Maple. What do we notice about Sunview and Maple's graphs? They are parallel. Because we know because of the graph, also because they have the same slope. Lines that have the same slope are parallel. So will they ever cross? No. And Maple's already lower than Sunview, yes? And what was the question asking? How many students must attend for Maple to be the cheapest, yes? Well, do we care about Maple and Sunview? No, because no matter how many students show up, Maple's still going to be cheaper than Sunview. Let's turn the other one back on. Now we do see at a certain point they do cross, yes? So it's figuring out when Maple and Sunview are the same, because once we figure out when they're the same, we can know where to start looking to see when Maple is going to be cheaper than Sunview. So we can set them equal to each other, then solve for the value of x. What can we do first? We can. Either one. Which one do you want to do? 300. We'll subtract 300 from both sides. Because 300 minus 300 is 0. So on the right-hand side, we're left with 12x. On the left-hand side, 500 minus 300 is 200. We still have the 10x. Now we do need to get the x by itself, so now we're going to have to subtract 10x from both sides. Those would cancel, telling us 200 is equal to 2x. Last but not least, we would divide both sides by 2. 2x divided by 2 is x. And 200 divided by 2 is 100. So we know at 100 students, the Sunview, or Lakeside, and Maple will be the same, yes? So that means one of two things. We need to either have more than 100 students or less than 100 students. Which one do you all think it will be? Which one has the higher cost just to rent the place? Because Sunview has the highest, but we're not focused on it. But between Lakeside and Maple, which one has the higher rental cost? Maple, because it's starting out at 500, yes? So if we have less than 100 students, Maple should be more. So that means for maple to be the cheapest, we need at least 101 students for maple to be the cheapest. Because if we have at least 101 students, it will be cheaper, yes? Could we set x, or could we have an x value of 101.5? Why not? It's not possible to have half a student. Even so, he still counts as one. I love the fact that you can't have, especially quantitatively, a person is still one no matter how they are configured. You still count one person as one. But I love averages because the average American household has 2.5 kids. It makes no sense, but all they're saying statistically, they're going to have at least 2 to 3 kids on average, is really what it's saying. Either 2 or 3. Homework on page 30, problems 3 through 9 and 11. Now 3 through 8, you're doing 2 things. Finding the equation of a line, describing the slope. As interpret the slope. Put it in words. What is the slope telling us? Now the way that you phrase the slope for 3 through 8, I'm not looking for specific wording. I'm just seeing, did you describe the slope? Did you interpret the slope? If you did, you got it right. That's all I'm looking for. Or interpret the slope. Because as we saw yesterday, there are several different ways we can interpret the slope. Yes? Just give me one of them. Number 9 is just like we did today. I think it's 2 newspapers are running fees to print an ad. You're trying to see which one costs more per line or which one costs less per line. I can't remember which. And then how many lines must be printed for them both to be the same cost. Number 11. Look at number 11. Error detection. Number 11 is error detection. There is a problem with the statement that they gave there. Okay, that sentence that they gave, there is an error in there somewhere. You need to, 1, say what the error is. I'm not looking for specific words. Just write down and show me that you know what the error is. And 2, fix it. Fix it. Make the statement correct. Those are the 2 things I'm looking for. Now, on the error detection, if you write that it is correct, I will take full points off because it literally says in the instructions for number 11, there is an error there. It is not correct. Okay? If you do have questions on any of it, please ask. Please ask. Please ask.